My name is Bill Goodwin, and I am a heart disease survivor.
My name is Richard Burke, and I'm 19 years old, and I'm a heart disease survivor.
I'm Neela Fisher, and I'm 19, and I'm a heart disease survivor.
My name is Cindy Fisher. I'm a heart disease survivor. I'm 40 years old.
I started having trouble in 1981 at 43 years old. And I knew I had some chest pains and some shortness of breath. And at that time, we had a Dr. J. Arman had come here and set up a cath lab at St. Joe in Hot Springs. And I had a heart cath done, sent to Houston, and I only had 50% blockage. So I lived with it, and I made it to 1993, and then I had 95% blockage. And at that time, I had angioplasty done. They weren't doing stents, and got me back on my feet. I made it another 20 years. But this time, I started having shortness of breath. You know, in June of 2012, I had a thorough heart exam, a thallium stress test, even had a heart PET scan. Everything seemed to be fine. 6 months later, I was short of breath, having all kind of problems with energy, denied it, which most men do. Finally, I gave myself a good talking to after we moved to Hot Springs Village, and I said, if you go fishing, they may find you dead in your boat. So I went to the heart doctor.
I was 4 years old the first time I passed out, and I passed out off and on from then until I was about 12, when they figured out that I was, in fact, having heart issues. And from 12 to 18, they pretty much had it under control with medicine and different sodium intakes with that. And when I was 18, I was driving on the bypass, and I blacked out. And I wrecked into the median, and that kick-started all of the tests and the different things they had to do for that. And I had an external heart monitor for about a month, and it didn't really tell them what they needed to know. And so they put in an internal heart monitor, and I was supposed to have that for a couple of years, but after a couple of months, they had figured out that my heart rate was so low that I needed to get a pacemaker immediately. And so in June of last year, I had a pacemaker put in, and it was working correctly, and everything was going well. But then when I tried to get active again, I was having chest pains, and it was a distinct spot. It wasn't really like my heart was hurting. And it turns out that one of the leads of the pacemaker was touching my collarbone. And so then December of last year, they had to take the first pacemaker out, put new leads and a new pacemaker in. And so I've had two pacemakers in the last couple of months.
My 10th grade year of high school, I was very active in sports and stuff, and I just started having really hard times and having some really bad chest pains, and I knew that my family kind of had heart disease problems, and so I went to my mom and kind of talked to her about it, and she got me into Children's Hospital so that we could get it tested, and they found out that I had sinus tachycardia, which means that my heart beats faster than normal. And so I had to get on a bunch of different heart monitors for various months. I've had about 3 or 4.
The supraventricular tachycardia, I was born with an extra receiver. A lot of times what happens is whenever the signal shoots from one side of your heart to the other, which actually tells your heart to beat and to pump blood throughout your body, it gets off track and it goes through the wrong receiver, and so the message just goes around and it loops in circles. So I don't get the oxygen and the blood pumped throughout my body. I do pass out. I also have epilepsy on top of it.
At age 12, they thought I had neurocardiogenic syncope, and that ended up not being the case. When after I had my wreck, they figured out that it was sick sinus syndrome the entire time, and that has put forth the issues that I have to have the pacemaker.
I was on medication for a few months, and then they told me that it wasn't life-threatening, and so I'd gotten off of it. But my symptoms are coming back, and I do have high blood pressure they've established, and so I've recently been put back on all my heart medications as well as all the high blood pressure medications too.
When they put in the internal heart monitor, It registered that my heart rate was averaging below 60 beats a minute, and when I was asleep, it was averaging 25 or so beats a minute. And so that was kind of the steps that said I needed to have the pacemaker immediately.
I started having some heart failure right after the end, and they were able to insert a pump through in my artery up into my aorta, and it pumped from Friday till Sunday and gave my heart a rest, or I may not be here. And I don't know how long they've had that technology, but it saved my life.
If this had happened to me 30 years ago, I'm not sure if I would still be here, and especially not in the condition that I am right now.
When I first started actually passing out with the epileptic seizure type episodes, I was pregnant with my daughter. And that's what really kind of started triggering it. I'd passed out quite a bit whenever I was younger, but never really realized what was going on. Because at that time, it's very uncommon for younger people to have heart issues and diseases, and at this time there wasn't really a whole lot of studies done.
My dad died with a heart attack in 1956 when I was 19 years old. He was 47. He'd never been sick a day in his life. He came home feeling bad. They took him to the hospital. They said they'd just keep him for observation, and he died right there in the hospital. And they said they did everything they could for him. Well, in 1956, I don't know what that was, probably an oxygen bath and a shot of adrenaline or something, I don't know. And so just see how far we've come since 1956 in saving lives.
My mother has it, and her mother, as well as both my great-grandparents, had it, and they both died from heart disease too.
I am the cause of my daughter, Neela, having the heart problems that she has. I have inherited it from my mother, and then also on my mother's side of the family. Both my grandfather and grandmother both died at an early age from heart disease.
Without the American Heart Association, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this chair because of all the research and all the things that's been done with modern medicine to treat heart trouble and heart disease. I mean, it came on slowly with me, but I'm fine. It's been 3 months today since my surgery. My energy level is back. I've been working out at a fitness center and walking, and I am just happy to be here.
I actually was in Sweethearts a few years ago, and so I learned a lot through that, and my diet and exercise has changed. I am not as active as I was in high school. That really changed, but I still I go for walks, and I do weightlifting, and I do a lot of yoga because that really helps. But I do eat a lot healthier. I learned the proper amount of fruits and vegetables I need to eat.
I'm actually going in April to have another EP study done, and also going to have some ablations to burn off the extra receiver that I have.
My prognosis is I will have a pacemaker for the rest of my life.
I just want to say thank you to all the people who are donating money, because there are many people out in the world who have heart disease who don't know it.
Through the donations, it has helped save myself and my daughter's lives.
The money that all of you are donating tonight is really going to help the Heart Association, and it has helped the Heart Association in learning and figuring out things like the pacemaker to help people like me survive.
You know, I think the generosity of the people who have donated to the Heart Association, it's been great. If it wasn't for them, the Heart Association wouldn't be able to make all the advances that they have today. And I really appreciate it. It's the reason I'm here.